Testing. Okay, hello everyone. I'm just adjusting our image here. There we go. We're no longer streaming soon, we're streaming right now. Good for us. I think all of my audio levels should still be good from last time, though it looks like my mic might be peaking a little bit. I'm not sure why, because I'm using the same setup I was last time. There, I adjusted a little bit, so hopefully that fixes any potential problems there were. Not that anyone had said anything yet. Alright, I'm working on some school projects today. And just providing a place to chill while people work on things. First, I need to look through my little notebook and catch up on what exactly I need to be actually working on today. Okay, as the title of the stream says, I am making a zine today, but before I make the zine, I need to finish my little notes portfolio that goes along with the zine. I'm making this for a class that was about our aesthetic interactions with different kinds of resources. So the resource I looked at, well, I guess it's better to say that I was looking at balcony gardens as a place of resources and what resources play into that. So before we actually got to making the zine, evidently, because I haven't made the zine yet, we were asked just to keep little notebooks or otherwise keep a portfolio and just write down everything that came to us that was kind of related in some way to our topic. So that's what I've been doing. I have some things that I need to add into the notebook still, so I'm going to do that first before I get to actually making the zine today. So I see that I have a couple of pages where I actually need to grab a book to add information from the book to it. So I need to figure out where the book I need is. There's one of them here next to me. The books off my bookshelf. It's this one is Glass and Garden's Solar Punk Winters, which is an anthology of solar punk themed stories. Solar punk is sort of semi-futuristic, near-futuristic, sort of eco-sci-fi, hopeful eco-sci-fi generally. So that I'm going to need for my project, and then I also need drop all my pens. I also need Glass and Garden's Summers, which should be here too, but might be in the other room. I'll go get that. Annoying that it's not all together. All right, there we go. Ta-da. Glass and Garden's Solar Punk Summers. This book is not in as good of condition as the other one. It's a little bit beat up. But that's okay. I bought both of them used. Also, I totally forgot that I had these. These are all advice that other people gave me when I presented the project I was working on. So I'll see what of these I can actually work into the project today. I feel like my sound for my background music is a little bit quiet, at least on my end. I'm adjusting it for me. All right, there we go. Yes. Do I have a standard pen or do I only have my markers here? I really need some time to get back into the flow of doing normal schoolwork. I don't know where any of my supplies are. Let's go. Found a pen. Okay, so I'm flipping through my portfolio notebook on Balcony Gardens, or what developed into my project on Balcony Gardens. My first page, before I had actually decided what I was going to be working on, is just a bunch of dictionary definitions of what resources are, because I was thinking about what to cover with this project. And then I have a list of resources that I considered possibly covering. I'll go ahead and read that to you. List of resources: time, attention, human energy, so-called human resources. Human connection, relationships, community, maybe specifically mutual aid. Professional connections. Sources of information, like libraries, databases, internet, again, human connections or digital tools. Followed by institutional resources, resource centers at universities, student support, again, human resources perhaps. Money as a resource, natural resources. Of course, that's the first place my mind went when I was thinking about types of resources for this class. water, air, sun, soil, crops, animals, oil, gas, metals, stone, etc. I continue with time, money, community, information, water, food, medicine, and labor as other forms of resources that could be interesting to look at. And then I have a list that's not strictly resources itself, but potential project things to look at in this context. So I have plants and gardening / food, coffee and coffee alternatives, clothing, fast fashion, and shoes, and their relationship to resources and resource use. Underneath that, I have learning resources, such as all the resources I've used. I think this was intended as language learning resources, is what I meant here. And then under that, resources for institutional education, such as database access. And then way at the bottom, I have balcony gardens, which is ultimately what I ended up using for this project. You can see for inspiration, then I put up some pictures of mainly tomatoes and radishes, which are also the main things that I ended up growing in my balcony garden, so it makes sense. It makes sense. I started a list of literature, stuff that I used in the process of researching for this project. So, for example, I have aesthetic welfare, aesthetic justice, and educational policy via JSTOR, which was an article I read while getting started, as well as the Boden Atlas. It's a book about soil, or a magazine, booklet maybe, about soil, as well as some things on YouTube that I watched. I actually need to add some other things that aren't on this list. So the two Glass and Gardens books need to be on the list. Maybe with a little space because they are a different type of literature to the ones listed above it. Here, before I do that, let me go ahead and share this stream on Discord again because not getting a ton of traction. Not that this is the most normal type of stream. Where's my self-promote channel? Alright, went ahead and shared that. Let's see, is there another chat that it would make sense for me to share this for? Alright, I went ahead and dropped the link in a couple of different places just to see if anyone's interested right now in joining. I will continue to conduct this the same way I have been, regardless. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some more of the literature that I refer to in the course of this project. So I'll start with the Glass and Gardens books, because they're what I was just talking about. If I start with the Solar Punk Summers, because it was the first book. Do I have a red pen? Yes, I do, so I can continue the color scheme. I feel like writing by hand with my standard pen. My writing's so messy. And then I also wanted to add some other books off my shelf, so I need to find them. Poetry book I used for inspiration, that'll get added. Of course, your basic guide to balcony gardening also needs to be added. Honestly, I wish that I hadn't put this part of this project off so long, because it's actually fun to do. I just had so many other projects to focus on that this one, because it was relatively simple and fun, just kept getting pushed off. But I guess that happens. Finding the balance for your schoolwork is always difficult in different ways. Okay, poetry book, basic guide to gardening. Yeah. Let's see, is there any other book that I need to add to my literature section right now? They refer to anything else in my project? Honestly, probably. But I'm mainly hoping I'll think of those as I keep working. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now to see if there's anything immediately that stands out to me as something I need to add. I have a lot of things that are like tangentially related, but not directly enough that I feel like I need to add them. Alright, after that, after I did my little literature list, which I just filled out a bit further, I had notes on my own perspective when observing things from an aesthetic point of view, followed by an initial sketch of what my balcony garden would look like, a list of plants I was going to plant. Let's see, do I need to update this at all? Nope, that's everything I ended up planting. I have some sort of diary post entries. Just diary entries. A drain balcony setup sketch. And some more notes from the books. So I'm going to fill out the notes from the books a bit further. Add some other things in that I had meant to add in, but not yet. So I need to remove the last page. I used that for some personal note taking that my professor does not need. Professor really doesn't need the phone numbers of my aunt and uncle. Alright, so I already started this page of notes. Let me see what it is. This page of notes is titled Solar Punk as a Model for Regenerative Farming and Living with Nature. So I was taking good examples from Solar Punk Summers and talking about them a little bit. So I need to finish that process. So bing bong into Solar Punk Summers we go. I have some stories in here marked, so. Well, Archie, it's good to see you. I will encourage you to focus on your school stuff while you're in school, but considering the fact that I'm just also doing school stuff, I guess it's not too much of a distraction. Waiting for the delay. Hey, Zen. Thank you for stopping by, even if you can't stay too long. This is just another sort of low key productivity stream, so I'm just working on filling out a portfolio notebook and eventually putting together a stream. If it seems like people would be interested, I might do a walkthrough of the zine at some point, but we'll see. But it's good to have you by, and I hope you're doing well. I'm trying to figure out where I stopped reading these stories because I was going to take notes on the ones that were relevant to my topic. Ciao, ciao. Alright, done going through the first book. Unfortunately, I only found one good example of what I'm actually looking at, so I don't have anything else to add to my list, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and add the next book in. I unfortunately haven't read any of the stuff in this book, so I'm going to have to just flip through and see what seems relevant. It took me too long getting through the first book. dropping my pen. Oh. If you're swinging by and checking out chat, feel free to leave a comment and let's have a little chat while I work. Hey there, Fox with Wings. How are you today? You working on anything? I do hope you can all hear my audio well enough. Yes, okay, good. Ooh, you're making your mask. I can't speak apparently. You're making a mask for your girlfriend. That's really cool. I am doing well. I'm currently working on a school assignment. Um, I'm writing about balcony gardens as a source of various positive things and a way to think more deeply about the resources that we're surrounded with. So, like sun, space, time, um, all those things. And ultimately, I'm going to make a zine about why and how you should start your own small balcony garden. But first, I'm finishing my notebook and my portfolio about it so that I can turn that in to my professor and show, like, look, I did all this research before I made the zine. A lot of stuff I've actually already done, and I'm just kind of needing to copy it over so that it's actually in the notebook when I turn it in. So it's not super exciting to watch because it's just me like looking at my other notes and writing them down. But I'm excited for the zine itself once I get to make that. I assume the mask you're making is an animal, though I might be wrong about that. But if I'm right, what type of animal are you making a mask of? Ooh, alien dog. That sounds really cool. I feel like I've definitely seen like alien dog art of different types. And then, of course, I've also seen sparkle dogs, which I could see there being some overlap there. That sounds really awesome. Are you already in the Discord? Because if so, I would like to see pictures once you get to the point where you want to show it off. If you're not in the Discord and you want to be, I can link you. I realized that I have completely forgotten to actually keep this notebook updated on my like observations of how the garden itself is going. So now I have to go back and write about everything that happened after the plants sprouted. But that's okay because I remember what happened. It's not like it was that much stuff. Oh, that's totally fine. Hmm. That's totally cool. I believe I'm following your channel already, so I'll check that out. I need to pour myself some hot coffee, but I don't want to leave stream, so that sucks. I'll be right back. You can survive on your own for a second, I am sure. Actually, I need to wait for the water to heat up anyway, so no coffee from me yet, but in a couple of minutes. It's so weird being able to actually see the delay between when I get back and when you can see me on screen, because I am watching it myself as well. Um, I have it set to the least delay that I can have it be set to, but ooh, it's still a noticeable delay. So sorry about that if that affects your ability to chat with me smoothly or whatever. Let's see. Yes, I'm familiar with NB, or NB spelled ENBY, as meaning non binary. I haven't talked about this extensively on stream, but I myself am trans masculine non binary, so I've also used those terms. But that is really cool. Do you already have a plan for your haircut, or are you just going to ask for it short and see what you get? My very first short haircut was a bob that I did myself because I was tired of having long hair. Um, I had it put up into a braid at the time, and I just chopped it off, or more accurately, I had my partner at the time chop it off, and then I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. My first good short haircut was looking back on it, it was the like classic non-binary haircut from the like 2010s, where it has the everything's really short except the top that swoops over to the side. Um, but when I first got it, that wasn't such a big thing. Like, it wasn't a recognizably queer or recognizably non-binary haircut yet. It was just sort of a 80s skater boy inspired haircut. So it's funny to look back on the fact that that was what I had for years, a couple years. Not that I wanted to distract and make this about me, but yes, I am curious as to what your haircut will be, if you already know. My water's warm, so I need to pour it, but I'll read your message as soon as I get back. Coffee. So you're thinking of probably going to go just below your shoulder, but with layers. Oh yeah, that's also cool. I was thinking short, but shorter is also good, of course. Um, Layers can also be nice because they make your hair thinner. They can make it easier to dry and whatnot. Nice to take care of. I actually recently cut my hair a bit, but it's hard to tell. I I have to take off my headphones to show you. I have shaved sections on both sides now, so most of it's still quite long, and I have the long tails, but just a little bit shaved on the side. I don't know, when all of my hair is long, it actually makes me quite dysphoric. Like, it's one of the few things that I still get dysphoria over. But even just having the little shaved, like, undercut sections or side shave sections makes it not a problem anymore. For me, I mean, you of course have to find what you're comfortable with and what your requirements are for your haircuts. Of course, I also used to quite like having my hair dyed, and I haven't done that in a while, so it is what it is. Interestingly, sort of interesting to me. Bigender isn't a gender label that I ever really considered for myself. Sorry. Although it would have, slash would still even be a at least somewhat accurate label. Um, I don't usually get much more specific than just saying trans, masc, non-binary at this point. Um, but I identified as agender for years before exploring the trans masculine side of my identity. And even still, I feel like the agender component and the masculine component are somewhat separate in a way that they almost represent two separate gender identities within my gender identity. So I could arguably describe myself as bigender, that being agender, and transmasc of some variety, or demi boy. I've always been um, partial to the term demi boy, or I guess as I've gotten older, demi guy. I'm not so comfortable with the boy label anymore now that I'm like 26. I don't know. That's another thing that is kind of interesting to talk about that I would like to maybe expand on more in depth at some point. Is hello Rose, you're at work. You can't be watching my stream. But I was just thinking about how when it comes to using terms like boy and girl in a trans context, a lot of people will continue to use them beyond like the normal age that cis people would stop using that. And I feel like a lot of that comes down to not getting to use those terms when it would be more, age appropriate. So, I mean, I was using terms including boy for myself comfortably up until I was 22, 23, up until I had been on testosterone for a while and started to look more like a man than, well, either a woman or a young boy. So at that point, I switched the terminology because it felt more comfortable for me. But I think there's definitely more that can be said on the topic. Let's see. You finished the mask. Do I have any suggestions of what you should make next? Also, you're going to dye your hair after you get your hair cut. Oh, nice. That's cool. What color are you going to dye your hair? And Rose, why can you watch my stream at work? You have work to do. Anyway, Fox with Wings. What should you make next? Well, I don't know what you're good at making. I mean, you could also always make something to go with the mask, like... Okay, yes, have fun with the tutorial. I have things to write in my little booklet. I have coffee to drink before it gets chilly. Hello, hello. What did you watch a tutorial about? Oh, neat. That's a very clever idea. All right, I'll go ahead and read you the part of the journal that I'm currently updating. I'm reflecting on how my balcony garden went. This isn't going to be my final reflection, but it's one giving an update that I had forgotten to write down. So I'm saying that this was from around September. So I've fallen behind on my writing about my garden, but not on observing it. Back in May, all of my plants had sprouted. Um, but they didn't all do equally well. My garden. I'm going to start reading this over because I am distracted by chat and by the fact that I found a typo in my entry. All right, okay. Imagine it's back in September, okay? I've fallen behind on writing about my garden, but not on observing it. Back in May, all of my plants had sprouted, but they didn't all do equally well. My garlic died almost immediately. I'm not completely sure why, but from what I read, it seems like a possible combination of too much water and too little space. It feels like a bit of a failure, but I know that mistakes are important to learning. My tomatoes and radishes also suffered from lack of space. The tops of the radishes grew really tall, but the roots never expanded into tubers. I've read that this happens when they are planted too close together. I planned then to let them go to seed and collect the seeds for next season. But as soon as the seed pods grew, they were decimated by caterpillars. What bad luck. Now, it wasn't all bad luck, but I'm writing down all the bad luck stuff first so that when I get to the but these things went well, it feels a little bit like a, oh, nice celebration. I'm going to continue writing it and then I can share the rest with you once I'm done. It's okay, Fox. It's gardening's a learning process, and as I've learned from this, plants take a lot more space than I assume that they are going to take. So that's actually going to be the conclusion of this little section: is plants need more space. Space is a valuable resource. And if you're working in a small area like a balcony garden, then that's something that's even more important to keep in mind because you're going to be tempted to cram as many plants as possible into your small little space, and that's not always going to give you the best outcome. So I'm going to go through and highlight some key points of what I've already written so I don't forget to do that at the end. Alright, a further update. The tomatoes I planted seemed to fare better than the radishes at first. The plants grew well and flowered, and then nothing. The tomatoes in my rectangular pot stood largely dormant. Meanwhile, the singular tomato seedling I purchased in its own pot continued to flourish, producing multiple delicious harvests. Eventually, my planted tomatoes produced a grand total of 2 pale tomatoes from a total of about 20 plants. So that's not a good ratio. 2 tomatoes, 20 plants. Bad, very bad ratio. And what was the culprit? Likely, I think it was too many plants in too little space. Again, the same problem of trying to put too many plants in too small of an area. But not all of my plants suffered, and that'll be the next little section that I'm going to write and then share with you. But I'll give you a little teaser, little hint before I go on and write the next section. The plants that did really well on my balcony, besides that one tomato plant that was in its own solo pot, were herbs. Herbs grew great on my balcony. So that's going to be my next little success section. Alright, here's the end of that particular little journal entry. Been But not everything on my balcony failed. The singular tomato in its own pot has already produced two harvests at the point that this was supposed to be taking place. It's now closer to four if the tomatoes that are on it now actually ever ripen. And beyond that, the herbs I planted were a huge success. I've been growing more chives and parsley than I can manage to use, even though I've been using it for crocha guac. Ultimately, my main problem this season has been a lack of space. I tried to fit too many plants in because I wanted to make up for my limited planting area. This backfired and stunted my overall yield significantly. The key resources here seem to be space, and maybe more importantly, the ability to accept and work with resource limitations. Fighting the fact that I had limited space harmed my plants. So I'll definitely include a note like that in the zine itself, something about even if you want to grow a ton of stuff, you have to be aware of not trying to cram more stuff into your space than your space can actually handle, because it'll just backfire and stun your ability to produce really much of anything. So that's going to be an important note for the zine. Because I feel like that's one of those tips that you don't really like, people don't mention. I mean, sure, they'll tell you like how much space you're supposed to put between plants and stuff, but I at least obviously kind of overlook that. Like if I have limited space, I'll be like, in this space I should really only be able to plant 3 plants, but I have all these seeds and I want more plants, so let's try 6 or whatever, and clearly that doesn't work. I do want to make a further note about how nice it was to have the herbs growing so successfully, though, because they smelled great on warm days. Like you could really smell the aromatics of them just when the sun was hitting them. Ooh, you're making a paper fursuit with paws, head, feet, and tail? That's really impressive. I've seen a lot of paper fursuit heads, but I haven't seen a ton of paper, like complete paper fursuits. Like, that's really cool. Um, and I'm sure that she'll love that it's made custom of her persona. Like, I would be super thrilled if someone did that for me. Like, I'm sure she's going to be so excited and so happy to have that. That's a really cool craft to make for someone. Oh no, your dog's howling. I'm sorry to hear that. Nice. So yes, I added a little note, like I said. I would, regardless, I'm so pleased that the herbs have been doing so well. On warm days when the sun hits them just right, they make the balcony space smell amazing. The almost peppery, garlicky scent of the chives is particularly strong and mixes pleasantly with the linseed oil varnish scent of the wooden bench I have. Yeah, back when I was living with my parents, my dogs would freak out every time my dad left as well. They love him so much. That's totally fine. I'll share another journal entry with you in just a second once I've done writing it. And also, I'm totally cool if you just want to hang out and like chill, listen to music. I think you can hear the music that I'm playing. It shows up as though you can, and just work on your own things. I mean, I'm intending this as a productivity space, so I don't expect there to be constant talk. I mean, if more people filtered into the chat, then I assume it would be a little bit more active as far as discussion goes. But I mean, as long as it's just us, I mean, totally chill to just hang out. Okay. Um, I want to ask a follow-up question, but I don't have the correct words. Um, okay, I was going to ask about the choice of words, about the idea of choosing. I just was still like processing the message and thinking about the best way to ask. Um, it's one of those things where I could see someone really just like phrasing something poorly and not necessarily meaning choose, even if they say choose, or maybe just not really being clear on what they're talking about. So I wouldn't necessarily want to like immediately be like, hey, that's not the way people talk about that. Um, yeah. I have like one or two more sentences and then I'll share this next section with you. All right, so in the end of the last section, I mentioned the furniture in the balcony space a little bit, and that got me thinking that actually that's something that I haven't really reflected on at all. So my next little section I'm calling furniture. I haven't touched on it in depth yet, but that last entry got me thinking about furniture as an aspect of balcony gardens. The furniture in a space, after all, can dictate how the space is used. The seating on my balcony currently is a wooden bench large enough to sit two or three people if they're close together. This bench means that people on my balcony either have to stand or sit near to each other while facing in the same direction, looking over the railing of my balcony and towards a large tree. If I swapped the bench for, say, two tall chairs and a table, how would that change the vibe of the space? Would it be more conversational because people could face each other over the table, or encourage longer time spent because a cup of coffee, book, or journal could be set on the table? Would changing the eye line from the bench by placing plant pots on the railing change the mood of the space? Would a wall of tall plants there encourage more intimate interactions by blocking the eye line over the railing? I assume the answers to these questions are yes, but it's interesting to think about the way that furniture choices in a space can alter the way the space is used and the way the space feels. And again, I noticed mistakes in my writing that I need to go back and fix. I will read your message in just a second. All right, let's see. You should maybe give that thing a break. You don't want to burn out your hot glue gun. I mean, they're not necessarily hard to replace, but they are an important aspect of many crafts. Again, I think it's so cool that you're making feet paws out of paper. Like, that is. I feel like I've seen hand paws out of paper at least once, but I've never seen feet paws out of paper. There is a pretty decent delay between the video um, feed and what I'm actually doing. Partially, this is because I am, a pretty small channel on YouTube, so YouTube doesn't really give me a bunch of bandwidth to work with. So there's a pretty huge delay. Um, Also, I'm super fast at typing and don't have to look at the keyboard or anything, so it's possible that you just missed when I did type it. Yeah, I'm planning to stay on for a while. I'm not sure if Archie has sound on, so I'll go ahead and type a response. Maybe look into getting a standing desk. I've heard that those are good for if you're like working on a table a lot, because that way you're not like leaning over as much. All right, I'm gonna step away for a second, but I'll be right back. Hello, hello, I have returned. Looking over the chats that happened while I was gone. I've never gotten to horses myself, though I know a couple of people who are or have in their lives been equestrians. I see someone of you is sending little hearts. Thank you for that. I can't see who does it, but I can see that someone is doing it, and I appreciate it. Just misspelling furniture, because I can't write by hand, apparently. Well, thank you. It's fun to see him show up in the corner. I had been wondering how streamers see them when you send them, because I've sent them to people in the past. Need to plug in my laptop in just a second. You've never been alive. I am aware that you mean live, but funny typo. Um, on Walmart shopping bags in general, I do you mean like the little plastic disposable ones, or do you mean whatever reusable ones they have now? Here, I gotta look up what Walmart shopping bags even look like now. I haven't been to a Walmart in years. Alright, well, the reusable ones look like they're just blue with the Walmart logo on them. Unfortunately, in this case, the cat is not a real cat. The cat is just Rose. She has a hard time with executive function and getting herself into the bathtub, so I'm gonna make sure that she does that when she gets home. But the Walmart shopping bags seem like most other shopping bags. I can figure out if I can show you my search screen. This might take a minute to get up, so give me a second. Let's add a window capture. That's not what I wanted. There. Please work. Walmart shopping bag. Okay. I'll bring up a better picture and then I'll switch over so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, when I search Walmart shopping bag, these are the images I get. You can see that most of them are these sort of fabric or thick plastic reusable shopping bags in the blue with the little design. I think those look useful. I mean, they just look like any other like standard shopping bag that you could get reusable. Um, when I said disposable shopping bags, I meant more like the gray plastic ones that you can see in a couple of these pictures, the ones that are just like thick gray plastic. I know technically they're meant to be reusable, but they're definitely less reusable than a standard tote bag. That's what I remember them having back before California, where I used to live, got rid of plastic bags in stores. I don't know if that's a statewide thing or just some parts of California. But either way, that's more what I'm familiar with. Yeah, not my favorite or my least favorite type of shopping bag. Thank you for the question. Let me. There. I'm getting better with using OBS, so I can actually like show you stuff on stream now. That's cool. I got a message I need to check. Okay, message checked. Second message checked. Now I can look back at chat. Um, it's fine to ask questions about things like shopping bags. I don't mind the little break from writing in my journal. But what made you think about Walmart shopping bags? Like that's I'm less interested in like the question itself and more like what made you think about that. You're going to wear your new Roblox mask and your new red foxtail to the park. Oh, that sounds like fun. I hope you have a good time. And you thought the Walmart bags were going to be red? I think the like official Walmart color has been that shade of blue for a long time with the little yellow logo, at least for as long as I can remember. They might have changed at some point, but I don't know. Um, I'll write a little bit more in my journal, and then I can take another little research break, and we can look up the history of the Walmart logo and colors. Why not? But I gotta do a little bit more writing first. Are Target bags red? I mean, probably because the Target logo is red. Okay, sorry everyone who is currently on stream. I just was reminded that I have a call to take at 1500 that was previously arranged. So I am going to need to get off stream. Checking up on what I missed in... I do not know what you're talking about, Fox, but that's fine. You're free to talk about stuff that I don't understand the reference of. But because thank you all for stopping by. I like doing these just chill productivity streams, and I hope to try to do more of them soon. So I hope to see you all again soon. But for now, again, thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it greatly. See you again soon. I'll give you an update on the zine once it's actually, like, done. That's good to hear, Archie. I'm always, like, unsure whether it's, like, a popular thing to do or not, because it is not, like, super exciting. But thank you for the feedback. That'll encourage me to do more of them. But for now, ciao, ciao.